All right, welcome to the Sae Bae cast number 205 with Agile Tom. Agile Tom, how are we doing this fine morning?
Hey everybody, I'm doing great. I'm Agile Tom, mostly known for my extreme one chunk Ironman, CoX Chunk.
You've been basically perma stuck at the, what is it called? Mount Quidamortum
With a
Bank
Mornum, yeah.
yeah,
hmm
for the
They have
last,
to
I don't
choose
even,
the most difficult names for these things.
yeah. But you've been there for how long now? Let's just like jump into what is this Cox Chunk account that you're talking about?
Yeah, so I've been working on it for over 2 years now. December 2022, I started. And yeah, so I'm basically just locked to the mountain until I complete absolutely everything in this tiny little square. And we are getting real close to the end, so pretty excited about that. But it's been a long time coming, and it seems like we'd be really close, but there's actually like a lot of hours I could have put in, so working on that.
People are pretty well informed about what like chunk accounts really are over the years. I mean, there's been so many creators that have created their own chunk accounts, and some go with the extreme route where it's literally do every single possible thing. And then there's people that add exceptions to it and they kind of just move on. So what are
Yeah.
your kind of guidelines with your account?
Yeah, so most people know who Limpward is. He's kind of the pioneer of the extreme one chunk mode. And my rules basically align right with his. So if you know his rules, basically the same with me. One thing that he hasn't really stressed upon is combat achievements, and that's something that I specifically want to do as well. But other than that, it's basically the same as his, same as Verve's. Have you seen that series?
Yep, I'm obsessed with
hmm
both.
hmm Yeah, it's great content, and I've been watching it for a long time as well. So, and I still watch a lot of it too. Anytime anybody shows me a new one chunk, I'm all for it.
Nice. So let's just I want to ask you like did that speak to you when you saw other people doing chunk accounts before you ever made yours where you're like, okay, I want to do this, or was it kind of like jumping on the bandwagon of like, okay, this is popping off and this can create kind of like a content creation I don't know, avenue to go down. What were your thoughts
Uh,
getting into it?
Originally, hell no. I watched like the original One Chunk series and never thought that I would do it, to be honest. I was enjoying my own Iron Man at the time and was just dipping into the late game stuff and didn't think it was for me for sure. Even with when Limpwort put out his series, didn't really think it was for me. It was probably after Verf series that I really got excited about it. And I mean, it was still like a couple years after he made his count. His count's kind of old now, to be honest. That I actually researched what potential chunks I could do, and it wasn't until like I looked at chambers and everything started clicking together. I had just started making my own like YouTube channel and just doing stuff for fun on my Iron Man, but everything clicked so well that I just had to do it. I was so excited for it, for sure. So
Okay.
yeah, I just
So
kind of stumbled into it, kind of.
So Cox only though sounds, or like I guess Cox is the starting chunk. Sounds pretty extreme. What is the exact requirement to leave that chunk? Because you still are in that original chunk. That's correct, right?
Yep, still in my original chunk. So I have to do all the highest level skilling challenges, which the things I have left are 95 fletching, but I only have access to
Jesus
normal logs.
Christ.
Yeah. So since there are implings here, it kind of throws a wrench into a lot of things because implings are
Oh
a
no.
lot of places. It's kind of a trouble with a lot of extreme one chunks, but I think it's good because implings actually help me out a ton for gear and stuff for chambers. So that's
So
pretty nice. But dragon implings, dragon darts, and 95
mm,
fletching. It's definitely my hardest thing. There's a few other skilling challenges. 75 fire making I still have to do, but that's completely passive through like ice demon rooms.
oh, true, true.
And I still need 75 magic, which runes are kind of hard to come by, especially like elemental runes. But yeah, I just need to wear Ancestral. Have most of the set so far.
So is it you have? So what are exactly like the rules? Is because I would imagine it's just like get ancestral, but you would actually have to equip everything that you get from chambers. Is that right?
Yeah,
That's
I have to wear it if it's possible.
okay.
And if I get resources, I have to use it if it's possible.
Mm,
And with extreme rule set, you have to use it up to like the highest thing that you can make. For instance, with smithing, like a normal one chunk, if they have a mithril bar, will have to make a mithril dagger. Just
mm,
they just have to process it into something. With extreme, you have to process it into the highest level thing. So they'd have to make like a mithril plate body if they
I
had mithril
see.
bars. Mm.
Okay, what is all there? Is there even an anvil there, or was that just an example you threw out just for like
Yeah,
generic
that's
chunk?
just an example.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you don't have to
Tecton's
do any.
anvil, but that
Yeah.
doesn't work. So I
Okay.
tried it. But
Damn.
yeah.
That oh, and do you there's that fishing chunk there, but you can't even start fishing, right? Unless you did chambers fishing. But can you even do chambers fishing when you're starting in that
Yeah,
chunk?
yeah. So the cool thing about chambers is that like all the skilling things start at level one, so you
Oh
can
shit.
do them pretty much at every level, and then there's stepping stones each way, which makes it pretty cool, at least for fishing and hunter.
Okay, for
That's the way I did that.
for my own sake and for my audience's sake, what is your
Mhm.
account's name?
CoX Chunk,
Oh,
CUX space
it is just CoX Chunk.
CHUNK. Yep, just CoX Chunk, nice and
He's
simple.
Jesus Christ, dude. What is this account? Oh my God. And okay, so let me just for those that are listening on Spotify, we have a lot of listeners that are just listening to this in their car or whatnot. But
Hmm.
basically, max stats, or sorry, max combat, almost just melee. In 98
Hmm.
attack, 99 strength, 94 defense, 99 hit points, 99 range. You already and so yeah, obviously you have the prayer scroll, so you got 77. How was the
Hmm.
prayer grind? I'm curious on that.
It was interesting. I basically killed trolls, the trolls that are like in the southern part of my chunk, Mount Quedamortem, and buried their bones manually for about 3 months.
Oh my
There's some
god.
veterans in my Twitch chat that remember that grind. I did that to 74 just to get rigor because rigor's just way more important.
Oh
And
yeah.
at the time, I was rocking a U longbow in the raids, so it helped me out a lot. I think it might have been about the time I upgraded to a magic shortbow, though. I basically fletched my way to a magic shortbow, got rigor before I really started to grind out the challenge mode raids.
Okay, so let's see this. You're at 1277 normal chambers and 70. Oh, sorry. 1277
Mm.
CMs and
Yeah.
78 normal chambers. So was set the normal chambers you basically just said this is now a waste of time because I'm eventually going to have to get those capes. So have you just permanently
Yeah.
stopped at 78 KC?
Not permanently. I still have combat achievements to do.
Hmm.
So like the perfect Olm, the no special attacks. Mostly they're all solo tasks I have left. I actually just knocked out the team speedruns for normals. But yeah, before that it was just testing stuff out, like how many points per hour I could get. I did some mega scales back in the day. It was more so before I knew the series was going to pop off, so it was kind of just doing mega skills for fun. I don't know if I was to run it back and I knew how popular it'd be. I don't know if I'd do that necessarily. It's basically like the boosting that people
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Except I didn't pay anybody. I didn't want to pay anybody, so I just learned how to do them myself and did it that way. I got quite a lot of purples that way. But at one point, yeah, I just realized that it was going to be a waste of time to get all the purples before I do challenge mode, since there's a good chance I could get them all um, doing challenge mode,
Yeah.
obviously.
So what
Yeah.
what are you missing on your log?
And one item left, ancestral legs,
Oh man,
last item.
that is crazy. But okay, and when did you complete the three mega rares?
Pretty early. I think I got Elder Maul, few KC before 1,000. So pretty lucky on that front. I gotta admit, been pretty lucky on the pet too. Got the pet about halfway to the rate.
That is
It's like one in
nice. Because
Maybe
imagine,
three.
because hopefully, I'm still crossing my fingers because you still are missing one item, but going beyond 2,000 CMs, that would be brutal.
Yeah, I think one of my viewers calculated it was like a 70% chance that I don't have to go over 2K, which would be nice.
Okay. And that's
And
at this
if I
point,
get to
or that
2K,
was at the
at
beginning?
this point,
Okay.
that was at this point, yeah. Since I got my second to last item, that was my percentage. But I mean, if I get to 2K and I still have an item, I just have to make a choice, like what I'm gonna do to get that last item. If I'm gonna go back to normals, if I'm still
Mm,
gonna run challenge mode, we'll see. Like 3+12s are getting pretty popular with a lot of people. But I don't know yet if my account can cap points on those raids. I know like most people try to cap points so everybody has an equal chance. I
yeah, yeah,
might
yeah.
be like I might have a extreme disadvantage with my account in those kinds of raids. So I'll have to just kind of see. But hopefully we don't even have to make that choice and we just get it. So,
I'm hoping.
but I've been lucky so far, so I'll hope for it.
So there's a few different roads I want to go down with this discussion just from the start. But I want to ask first off, what are your thoughts on this? Has been a discussion for years of should they make it so the chambers capes, those shrouds are given to just chambers across the board, including normal chambers, and just doing 2,000 of them would allow you, and you could mix and match kind of like Tom. What are your personal thoughts on that kind of system? And I'm imagining those thoughts will eventually converge with no, hell no, because you've already done the CMs. But I want to hear your take on that kind of argument that has gone around for
Mm.
years.
Yeah, I honestly always liked it. I liked that it was just from challenge mode,
Hmm.
and I hope that it stays that way because it's unique. Like I feel like there should be some consistency across the board with every raid, but I think each raid's kind of unique in its own way, and that's something unique to Chambers that I think should stay. Um, I mean, I could go on for hours on how they should buff challenge mode raids. At least like purple wise, like a lot of people don't do them because they don't think it's worth it. Maybe if they thought it was worth it, a lot more people would be going for these capes in general. But
Hmm.
cape wise, I do like that they're just from challenge mode. You could do normal chambers so much quicker. It'd probably cut like time to get that cape in a third. So I would like them to keep it the same way, but we'll see how everybody feels. I'm still gonna do it,
Yeah. That
so
I
doesn't
feel
matter to
like
me.
yeah, I feel like I mean I'm in the camp of like let the people that do chambers kind of decide. I'm not one of those like chambers Andes that would have a very strong opinion on something like this, but I
Mhm.
definitely have and still lean toward the OCD mindset, which is can we just make it so you just do 2,000 raids and you can mix and match kind of like Toa and
Mm.
Tob. But again, it's not like it matters that much. I'm not like I don't know. For some reason, I try to see the game in terms of the future. Like, what are we going to see
Mhm.
5 or 6 or 7 years from now? And if we can see a future where they finally standardize things, why not just rip the band-aid off right now, like as soon as possible?
Yeah.
Because, if we do have raids 4, raids 5, raids 6, and it keeps doing the mix match system where there's the challenge mode and the normal, and they keep doing the 2K capes, well, eventually it's just going to be like, hey, Chambers is very odd now. Like, it's very sticking out like a sore thumb. Again, you can still have the argument of like, that's just the charming thing about Chambers. But ultimately, if it's something that's going to be like the Jar of Darkness, which I don't think it will, where Jar of Darkness stood out as like, why is this jar so rare? And they took years and years and years to finally rip the Band-Aid off to give people their proper, jar rate for it.
Mhm.
I feel like ripping that Band-Aid off earlier would be better, but cool to hear your
Yeah, it's not
take.
even close to early now. I mean, how
Yeah,
long has challenge mode been in the game for? Like
you would know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't actually
20,
even know. Do you know what year?
2019, I
Okay,
feel, maybe. But yeah, I mean, how about I just throw a hot take out there just for discussion?
let's
What
hear it.
if all of the capes came from the harder version? How about we standardize it that way?
That
That'd
would
be kind
be.
of funny.
I would actually. I would be down for that. I would be down. The problem is just the amount of coding and engine work it would take. Like doing that is
Mhm.
much more difficult and obnoxious of a task than making it so the CMs become across the board. Because now
Oh,
you're,
really?
well, just simply because now you're taking away people's 2K capes,
Yeah.
if people have done those.
Oh,
Whereas
true.
the
Hmm.
CMs, if you've already done your 2K CMs, you're already good. And if now that you're adding the other ones on, people just obtain it freely, which again would be kind of like unfair to the people that grinded the CMs. But along with your point of making CMs more worthwhile, that's another thing that they need to do. I remember talking to chemistry, and he brought up a good point, and this has probably been thought up by many others, of having the same system that hard mode Tob has, where the Avernic chance decreases while the bigger ticket items increase. So reducing dramatically the prayer scroll rate during CMs and being able to pump up those other uniques up a little bit more, and even just
Yeah.
adding more points across the board to CMs.
Yeah. I don't even think they would need to change it dramatically. Just like a small uh, difference between the prayer scroll rate would be nice.
Mm.
Just because it's like it's close to 50-50. It's kind of crazy. And people really want the prayer scrolls. They're really good items when they first start. So that's why, like, if it's more common from normal mode, it makes a lot more sense, in my
Yep.
opinion. But yeah, hard mode top's got a good system that way. I feel like they could add more points to challenge mode to make it a bit more incentivized.
Hmm.
It's a little tricky, like with that extra 5K that they give you at the end. That's kind of where they thought that they were gonna boost points. But it is a bit tricky because you can basically do nothing the entire raid, just be there for the end, and you get 5K points. So if they just buff that, it would just give more points to people who don't participate even.
Hmm.
Maybe if they could find a way to like add more points, maybe make it 10K per person, and but add it to like the total points instead of personal points.
Yeah,
Maybe that would be a bit better.
just even doing like a 10% across the board. Every point you get is actually 1.1 points, and
Or yeah,
and
10%. You get a 10% bonus if you make time. 10% of your personal points or something like that. That
yep.
would incentivize not dying too, because that would decrease the bonus at the end as well.
That's another question I have actually. What are your thoughts on dying and losing points? This has been something I've talked to previous guests about and it's not necessarily for CMs. CMs could be the challenging, more high risk, high reward potentially, but I'm talking more chambers in general, non-CMs, where it really feels like a hassle bringing on people where when you lose 40% of your points, like you're already getting punished for bringing on learners. You're already getting punished for bringing on your friends that want to learn the raid. And now you're overly being punished by not just the amount of time loss. Just, I mean, you're losing points per hour by simply
Mhm.
just bringing new people in. But then on top of that, you're basically expecting to end a raid with close to 0 points because of how the point loss system works. Have you ever considered any changes on your end about like the whole point loss system?
Yeah. I'm not like an expert. I don't really know what they would do to counteract it. I'm not sure it's like that big of a time loss to die that it would be worth it because I've done like a lot of speed runs. A lot of speedrunners don't really care much about dying. Like it's quicker to die than to make more supplies in a lot of cases.
Hmm.
I don't know how they would make dying more punishing, like time wise. Maybe they'd add like 10 seconds where you just stood there and can't move until like 10 seconds is up, but that doesn't really sound that fun to me either. It is fun like dying and like running back to get back in there as quick as possible because you don't want to
Hmm.
waste your time. But
One of
yeah, it's kind of an issue for sure losing that many points, and it kind of disincentivizes dying late can be like a lot worse, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
it's very frustrating, I think, across the board. It kind of makes sense, you make a mistake and you get heavily punished for it. What I would suggest personally, and this is kind of evolved, but my original suggestion was just get rid of point loss entirely. Like, there's no possible way you can even lose points in raids anymore. But there would be a system on the chambers board when you sign up for the raid saying, do you want to get a bonus So, for example, maybe 5K additional points if you want to go for a deathless raid, something like that, where you can literally sign up to get additional points if you're confident enough in your ability not to die. But you can always just check it off. So if you're bringing on new learners or you're not very comfortable with the raid, you're not going to walk out feeling like shit when you've lost, right at the very end, you die twice and you've just now lost 70 fucking percent of your points. And you just want to like throw a brick out your window and you're just pissed off. Because seriously, like we have the TOA system where, TOA.
Does that work kind of similarly though?
It's not quite because you still lose
There's like
points in
invisible
TOA.
points.
You do still lose points in TOA, but I like the TOA system where at the board you decide, because you would wipe the raid if you died once in TOA if you chose the hardcore.
You don't get to come back, which is different.
Yeah. So I mean, this is like across the board. It's not even just Chambers, but I'm talking Chambers just because I'm with you and you definitely have been there for your fair amount of time. Mm-hmm. And this is across the board. I don't feel, top is a little weird the way the point system works there, to be fair, but just in general, I think points should not be lost in raids. And one just more example, maybe for those listening, of why I find this philosophy just more appealing to everybody is similar to what they were doing with Sepulcher. When Sepulcher first dropped, if you didn't make time, you didn't like get the XP drop at the end. And it was like brutal. I mean, if you were trying to go for the floor 5 completion and you just ran out of time, you don't get the XP and you also don't get the chest and you just leave just feeling like pure shit. And then they were like,
yeah,
okay,
learning,
this is like
tough.
Yeah. And the thing is like, you're already, actually, I don't know if it wasn't, you get all of your XP. Maybe it was just like a penalty on XP or something like that. But basically Husky clearly said, this is like a double penalty, whereas it doesn't need to be that. It doesn't need to be that punishing. You're already losing agility XP per hour by being shit at the content. So
yeah,
you're already, just like, but compounding that and just making it even more brutal for those learning is just ridiculous. It's just masochistic. So
yeah. I mean, maybe for Chambers or for challenge mode specifically, like if you got a time penalty for dying, like it added like more time to your total.
Yeah,
maybe
for like speed run sake.
Yeah, speed run sake. So you're not like, you don't want to die in a speed run, or like if you do miss the time that you're supposed to hit, you won't get that bonus points. So like if you do still die too much, you could not hit that as well. Maybe that'd be
maybe the bonus points only come through a deathless. Like what if that was the case?
Only through a deathless. That might be pretty punishing.
Do you think?
But unless you like, maybe if you selected something specifically for that, like if you're sure nobody's gonna die.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You're confident about that.
So what if, I mean, because there's multiple elements to this. Like I would be fully on board with just buffing across the board the points that you obtain from CMs. When I just mentioned several minutes ago about like the 10% thing, I was talking like while you're gaining the points, you're actually just on a 10% multiplier. So, I mean, it would work out the same way regardless. I mean, just by the end, you've already got, I'm saying 10% as just throwing something out there, whatever would be appropriate. And so even if you were to sign up for, okay, I just want to do a CM and I don't want to have to worry about the deaths, you'd still go in there and you'd get your points. But then you would have the option of saying, okay, I want to take this a bit more seriously and try not to die. I'm going to put it on deathless. And then if you lose the deathless, maybe you get that penalty of, let's just say it's 10K points reward at the end, or it's minus 10K, so it's like that higher risk, higher reward potentially.
Yeah, it's kind of like adding an invocation
exactly
to Chambers. It's kind of interesting. Like, what if they put an option that, like, if your teammate died, they wouldn't come back? Kind of like Tob, like they'd be stuck in a cage the rest of the time. That'd be kind of funny. Maybe like during Ulm only. I don't know if doing like the entire raid, somebody dies at Tecton, and they're just sitting in the cage. That'd be a little bit extra punishing.
Yeah.
But that could be interesting.
Yeah, I'm just spitballing stuff. This is my own my
Yeah.
own just thoughts
I'm
on
not sure if
the
it
raid.
completely like solves the problem though. Like what feels worse? Um, like you do
Well,
this
it
deathless thing where you're taking a chance and you die, you'd feel pretty
well
shitty about it, and but
the thing is I mean you mentioned like the cage system. There doesn't even have to be a cage system. I mean it's simply if you die, you've now lost that 10K bonus that you were going for. If anybody on the team dies or something, and
Mhm.
again, this would be something you check on. So if you're feeling very confident, or maybe it's per individual. Maybe it's just say, I want to do a deathless. And then
Mhm.
everybody else has their individual check of saying, I don't want to go deathless. I'm not going to try to risk points. But there is no caging mechanic. It's simply when you die, you're still in the raid. It still has the same mechanics as it always has. You can go back down, but there's no point loss. And the reason I'm saying that is, yes, this could be seen as a potential buff, but I think it's warranted to have a system where you're not getting overly punished. And I know you were just talking about, speedrunners potentially can use that to their advantage of just rather dying, but I honestly don't see that as being any real concern to the average player
Mhm.
that's just wanting to do chambers and getting really pissed off when you lose 40% of your points. And again, this isn't just a chambers phenomenon. Like I'm talking,
Mhm.
they should look at Toa for this. But
Do you think Chambers should have an entry mode?
I mean, I would love. I like the current Toa's the outcast when it comes to raids. I feel like there's just way too much freedom going on there. That's my personal take. It's completely subjective. Toa has a lot going for it. I actually really enjoy Toa in a lot of aspects, but I
Yeah.
do like the system of entry, normal, and hard mode. I think that was like the best recipe they've come out with.
I think Top's got the best recipe right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, TOA should not give purples from normal mode or like entry mode.
Oh,
I think
entry.
that was a mistake. Um, and maybe Shadow should be more common from experts. I don't know. Maybe they could do like a similar system to that. But I mean, I think Chambers could have an entry mode. Maybe that would solve the learner issues a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, maybe make like everything hit a bit less. I don't know, kind of follow the same system of like challenge mode where everything's buffed. Just nerf everything a little bit for an entry mode. No purples, and maybe they can do something like change the layout formation. So it'd be like you have more chance to get like mystic shamans, guardians, like those easy kind of layouts in the entry mode, just so that you can get to Ulm a bit quicker and then like learn Ulm a bit more. Um, I also think one of the things that I would like to see in normal chambers actually would be decreasing the amount of mystic shamans and guardians that you get in the layouts. I think one of the problems with boosting is that you get these free rooms where there's no risk, where you're just standing in a safe spot, chinning stuff. And that's how like a lot of these boosted accounts will get their points stacked up is from these rooms specifically. So maybe if it was like impossible to have a layout that was all three of these easy rooms, that might deter boosting a little bit. But I think it would make the raid a bit more challenging or force people to learn rooms like Vasa and Vespula, Vanguards. Those three V rooms people like always try to skip in normal chambers.
Hmm.
They never learn them. And a lot of times I've brought people to learn challenge mode raids, and they've done like hundreds of normal chambers, and they don't know how to do these three rooms. Yeah, these three rooms. So I've got to, coach them through it as they're going through a challenge mode. So I think getting people to learn those rooms in normal chambers and maybe giving them a bit of an easier time to get to Ulm in an entry mode would be kind of good so that they could learn Ulm. Obviously, that's the hardest room of the raid, where people need the most coaching. So if they can get through that without having to absolutely chug brews, because that's kind of the meta for people learning. They get into Ulm with like a pack yak worth of brews, and they just try and stay alive a lot of the time. So I think if they were going to do an entry mode, um, they should make normal mode a little bit harder in that aspect, so you don't have these free rotations. Might help like scouting a little bit too. Scouting has always been kind of like a mechanic that people don't necessarily like. It also promotes bots who go through, find good scouts and sell them, which I think is a bad process as well. So maybe that's something that they could do. The advantage of an entry mode might be that.
Yeah, no, I'm fully on board with entry mode. I think I disagree to some extent. Now, again, I'm not fully in the know with the boosting and the services and the balancing around that. But ultimately, I have been a huge proponent of just getting rid of scouting entirely and being able to fully choose what raid you want, even if that means never learning the other rooms. If that's how you want it, if that's how you want to play and you never want to learn rooms, well, good luck whenever you enter CMs. And again, this would be in conjunction with making CMs genuinely worthwhile and genuinely being the big ticket stuff. Like, okay, you're kind of working your way to CMs. So
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
my personal thoughts are like the system we have where there's even even though they've made great changes and made it so you can just instantly reload raids, all of that is so archaic in my opinion, and we should just get to the point where you just go to the board, you choose exactly what you want for a normal raid, and you just decide the rooms, you custom layout, and then you're in, and that's the raid that you like and you're most comfy with, and that's just what it is. And then entry, if they were to come out with an entry mode, I like what you have to say about it. In fact, I would almost be curious if, with something like entry mode, like this would be a little bit different than the other raids, but if there really is no purple chance, which by the way, I am actually pretty agnostic as to whether or not I would actually mind having a slight purple chance. Again, something where it's just charmingly low, like just like a 1 in, I don't know, 20,000 or something to pull something. Just for the memes, basically. Like this would not affect the economy by any means, but
I
just
hate the clips of people like getting shadows from
oh, I
like a
love I
50
love that
scale
shit.
entry
I
mode.
I love
I
that
hate
shit.
it.
It almost reminds me it's obviously not the same, but it reminds me of people pulling a pet on their first um, boss kill on the quest of Desert Treasure 2. Like I just think that's so charming
Oh
that you can
yeah.
get it like during
Well,
the quest. It's not the same,
one
of
of my
course.
friends got the first Iron Man DT2 pet during the
From
quest.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
He
Do you know
always
which one of the four it was?
he got Duke, probably the most popular one.
Bruh.
I know, I know.
On my main
But
item, 7,800 dry for that.
yeah, I remember day one, people were like, "Why are these rings not coming in the game?"
Yep.
But like Virtus pieces were from like the quests, and we were trying to figure that out. But overall, I kind of hate that mechanic of the rings too, in a way.
Mm.
And that's a whole nother
We can talk
subject for
about it.
sure.
Let's talk about that. So
Sure.
you're just
Sure.
against the what is it? Just the trying to what do they call it? Just
Just
making it.
extra components, I guess, or like trying.
Well, they do the invisible rolls, and the reason
Yeah.
behind it is they don't want people to go extraordinarily dry. But now you can't have people going extraordinarily lucky as well, which doesn't feel too good.
Well, actually, the worst part about it is the ingots, because people could go dry for the ring and then still not have the ingots.
Hmm.
So they can't make it on an Iron Man, and they want to have you buy that, which is kind of funny because like, why even have them in the first place then? Why not just take them away from the game? Like, just kind of like a weird extra component. Has no other use either.
Yeah.
So if you have extras, it's just kind of pointless as well.
It is
And
annoying. I actually never had that big of a gripe with the ingots personally, just because I've already played an Iron Man for so long. We've always kind of dealt with systems like this, but mains that had never like really had to use this kind of system before. And again, was a relatively new system. It wasn't exactly the same in any other situation, but my biggest gripe with the DT2 bosses is simply that everything you get that's valuable is untradeable. So it's fucking depressing looking at finally getting the thing and there's no pink beam. Like, where the hell's the beam at? Everything is just this untradeable,
yeah,
sad looking drop. It's odd and I hate it. I just wish it was like, here's the ring. You got it. You know? Like,
yeah, or some tradable piece that you just put onto the berserker ring or whatever.
Yeah, no, no, yeah,
They had
exactly.
to
It could
I had to
still
give it
have the
like
attachment.
5 steps to make it too.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
obnoxious,
painful, yeah.
and you always
I've actually
forget,
never made one, but I've just seen people make
bro.
them and it looks bad.
It's really bad. And
Mhm.
this is my other gripe with it is the axe pieces are also untradeable, which again,
Yeah.
I understand where they're coming from. They want to artificially boost the price of this axe, similar to
Mhm.
like a bludgeon where, you can't just sell an individual bludgeon piece. But oh my God, is it tilting? Because if you go dry on one of the bosses, now you just have a bunch of these axe pieces that you can't do anything with, and it is not a good feeling. I think I have like 16 Eyes of the Duke that are just sitting in my bank that just, and I already have Leviathan Pet. So there's no way ever that I will complete these 16 Eyes of the Duke. They're completely worthless junk. And it's just such
Mhm.
a shitty system, in my opinion. Again, I know where they're coming from. They want to artificially boost prices, but oh God, such a shitty way to go about it.
Yeah. It makes it pretty hard to grind the axe as well, and it's such a niche item too.
Hmm.
You could almost like go for a scythe and it'd be quicker. At which point, like the axe is pretty useless. Might be best in slot at Vardorvis. I don't really know where else it would be best in slot at. So yeah, I don't really see, um, why they make like such a niche upgrade, not even best in slot kind of item, so rare as well with that system. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know how they'd fix that either. I mean, I kind of do. I get their point and why they do it as well. But yeah, I don't know how they would really fix that system that they've already put in place. But the ingots seems like something that they could easily just remove, and I don't think anybody would notice.
Hmm.
It'd also take like one step out of that ring creation out of the way, so maybe it's not so annoying anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I think they've learned. I'm always happy with Jagex experimenting with things, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, and this would be definitely a system where the entire community is basically against it, and they'll never do something like this again, which is good to know.
Yeah, exactly. They tried it, it didn't work. Um, so
Yeah.
now they just fix it. But yeah, I don't think it's bad that they tried it for sure. But yeah, I think they need to fix things and fix things like quicker, honestly. It's it's been a couple years now. DT2's been out and they're just now getting to it,
Yeah,
which is
this
another
is
thing.
just part of the problem. I'm in the camp of it's never too late to fix something. It's never too late to update stuff, but
True.
ripping the band-aid off sooner rather than later is always the better move, especially when it's very, very apparent that there's something that's a problem.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
let's cover. I don't know if you actually saw this morning. They have an updated Delve boss update, just talking about some of the reward space changes. I don't know
Yeah,
if you got to take a look at just them
I did read
making.
it earlier.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, let's jump into this discussion. I'm a little bit curious of what you think of the Delve boss, just and if you're looking forward to it or not. Again, it sounds like you main your chunk account. Do you? By the way, I never actually asked this. Do you play other accounts at all on the side?
Yeah, I'm typically playing at least 2 accounts. And yeah, I do have like a max Iron Man that I've got quite a bit of gear on that I'm working on the side. Sometimes I just stack clues on it. Other times I'll like do bossing stuff. Just kind of depends on what I'm doing on the chunk count. But yeah, I play that account basically just to try new stuff. So I'm definitely excited for this Delve boss. I also think maybe a chunk count could start there one day. Who knows?
Oh shit.
Um, but yeah, yeah, it seems like a really good mechanic. I always kind of like the thing that R3 have on. Oh, I forget what it's called again. In R3, but
I'm on. I know they have an enrage system, whatever it's called.
Enrage, yeah, yeah, that's what I was looking for.
So
Enrage system.
for those maybe more unfamiliar, this enrage system is a bit different than what we were anticipating. So
Mhm.
instead of it being very much endless waves where every wave is different, this is an 8 wave system. If you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it was 8, and then at 8 it continues that wave 8 indefinitely until you die. But one of the things that's interesting about it, and I'm just going to scroll down to this blog post where it was kind of talking about it, was oh wait, did they have the full thing here? Yeah, there we go. So there's environmental changes that happen after level 5. So basically it is continually enraging because it's not like you're actually repeating the exact same wave 8 over and over and over and over.
Mm.
Every mistake you make, for example, Colosseum, they have those javelin lava pools. Your environment would be changing over time. So every single little mistake you make will be a punishing mechanic in later waves if you decide to keep going further and further and further. So I kind of like this system. I think it's an easier and more simplistic way to balance an enraged system where you just get to the highest stage and then you just repeat it over and over as much as you want. What are your thoughts? And yes, there are 8 delve levels. That's what I just saw. So
Yeah, I was a little bit confused 'cause I was thinking when they said like your environment changes that like even if you die and then you get back to that point, there's still like an environment change there. So that's probably not what it is.
no. That would be. Can you imagine? You just fuck everything up day one. It's just you can never go back, and you just like soft lock yourself. Just yeah, it's over.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. Yeah, that's originally what I thought it was gonna be. So good thing it's not that. Okay, so that does sound good though. Like you can keep doing it, but if you messed up, you might want to claim your loot.
Exactly.
Instead of to keep going forward. But I do like that. It so it basically won't get harder unless you do make a mistake like that. Pretty much.
Well, the first 8 waves, going from like they're saying, the first 4 waves will probably be like the medium kind of difficulty, and then they're saying after level 5, that's when the environment starts changing, extra damaging effects, which can be avoided, and additional fight mechanics. But then at wave 8, you're actually at the final most difficult wave, and that is the one that just continually repeats.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think it's definitely a unique system. And like we said with DT2, they're trying things out and they're trying this out for the first time. I think it'll be good. I feel like there'll be a lot of changes day one from players. But yeah, no, it definitely looks exciting. It seems like it'll be end game content, like real end game content.
Yeah.
We got Coliseum recently, but I feel like we should be getting something like this every once in a while. So I like it. The rewards are interesting as well. Sure, you got a lot of thoughts on the rewards.
Yeah, I want to hear how you think about this. So I guess we'll kind of go in order just based on their updated thing, which is actually of this morning. So the first one is the Avernic Treads, which are basically like the new Nikes that are combining Prims, Pegasians, and Eternals into one boot with the combined stats of it, with a few other exceptions such as +1 ranged bonus, which I hope they just actually tack that onto normal Pegasians as well. I think that would be completely appropriate. But there are no changes on this upcoming blog, so they're saying they're keeping it as they originally proposed, which is just the combination boot. What are your thoughts?
I'm a little disappointed that they didn't decrease the defense bonuses. I feel like the defense bonuses were the thing that it didn't need. Like if it's gonna be like a trio boot, it's gonna be best in slot. Like usually they like make it more niche of like a damage output versus like tankness. Like I feel like it really devalues guardian boots and stuff like that, where it's got really good defense bonuses. So why would you ever need like another boot, kind of? So that's one thing that I feel like it could have 0 in all the defenses and it would still be an amazing boot. So like why even put the defense bonuses on? But yeah, other than that, like I'm fine with one boot to rule them all. I think it's kind of cool. And yeah, the +1 range, I don't know if it needs to be on Pegasians. I think those will keep their value either way. I mean, they could. I wouldn't really care either way, I guess.
I think it'll just make sense if they're already going down this route of having it be a combination boot, and the fact that the best in slot range boots still for some reason have no real use. I mean, nobody really brings their pegs anywhere. If you need to bring multiple styles, they'll just camp their prims or eternals, or bring both of those. But Pegasians are like the complete dog water boot that nobody really needs to use unless you're simply just doing range only. But even in that situation, like, I think it's totally justified to have one additional range strength. And you're right about the defenses. I think the as far as I'm aware, it sounds like they're just combining all of the stats from the three boots. I would need to actually calculate it, but it sounds like they're
Yeah.
combining all of the defensive ones. And I'll be honest, I think Guardian boots or Echo boots should get a defensive buff. I wouldn't mind that. But here's the thing, if
Mm.
these boots, the whole point of it is to not make it a niche, is to really make it feel like, okay, I don't have to worry about boot slots anymore. That is the whole excitement over these boots, is just how powerful they are without being anything necessarily new. It's just simply like huge quality of life. You don't have to worry about doing a boot switch, and it's going to be an extremely expensive item to get the Averting
Yeah.
Catalyst to combine. So I think it's almost like the mega rare of it, and I think it's justified to be very powerful defensive and offensively.
Yeah, I guess like as far as like price wise, it'll definitely be way higher than any other boot. And I mean, probably not any reason to have Guardian boots or like Devout boots after this, honestly.
Devout boots
Um,
I can see, just because these boots don't have any prayer. Devout boots would still have +5.
I guess if you're really trying to keep the prayer up, could be useful.
Yeah. I mean, again, these would be the boots that you're rocking if you're a Giga Chad with a bunch of money. I'm imagining these boots are
Mhm.
probably going to be going for over a bill. So if you don't have a bill, I mean, that's,
At first, I'm sure, and after that, I don't think they'll probably keep that price, but
I think they will.
over 100 mil for sure.
I think they'll actually be very expensive.
Mm.
I think this catalyst will actually be a very expensive thing.
Did they say like when it'll start dropping? Because
It's
I'm pretty sure
only, let's
every
see.
unique will be like unlocked at a certain delve level, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. So if they pass the poll, each unique will be available from predetermined delve levels with increasing drop rates beyond that. So the more you grind it.
Mm.
So don't get me wrong, there will be the super big gamers that just get super, super good at this content and will start pooping them out. But there are so many players nowadays, and there's going to be a lot of players that just find this content unbearable for whatever reason. It's too difficult, or it's because I'm imagining this is going to be more difficult than the Coliseum, where again, it's kind of hard to just fully compare them because they're different in a way. But I don't know. I can see this content being quite difficult, but who
Mhm.
knows? I mean, you could be right. I just am imagining, because this is the one big ticket item, they're gonna make it pretty damn rare. We'll see though.
Yeah, it's also not like a big upgrade for any specific combat style. So if
Hmm.
you were like just doing melee only for something, like you wouldn't need it. You just have primordials and it'd be the same DPS. I
Exactly.
guess is what I'm thinking. Um, but yeah, I guess it would depend on where it comes. If it's going to be really rare, then for sure it'll keep a high price.
The Eldritch
There
Veil.
definitely.
Sorry. Did you have
I was just gonna
something
say,
else?
there's definitely a lot of people with too much money that would pay a bill for it for sure.
Oh yeah, on release it's gonna go for max cash just right off the bat, just so the YouTubers and the streamers do it. The thing is,
Mhm.
it's crazy. Max cash nowadays is just, it's not even that crazy. Like I remember way back when YouTubers would buy like the first thing that of a new item that drops on an update, and I was like, you are a psychopath for paying that much. Nowadays it's just like, bro, everyone's so goddamn rich. Feels like that.
Do it for the views.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bill used to buy, or not even that, like probably like 200 mil used to buy everything except for an Ellie back before Chambers. I
Yeah,
remember.
you just get full Arma, full Bandos, and full Arims. Fucking A. It's
Yeah.
Arims. That's crazy.
Hmm.
So
Different days.
yeah. Seriously. Eldritch Veil is the new best in slot mage cape that's coming out,
Mhm.
and they've decided to make it untradeable. Their original proposal was to make it tradable, and there was a lot of backlash. So now it is an untradeable. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that? And they're making it so there's a +1 prayer stat to it. They've
Oh,
also
they are. Hmm.
re-examined some of the defensive stats, and we're gonna make it guaranteed drop at Delve level 8. So as soon as you do just one of those waves, you got it.
Yeah. So I feel like their initial take on this item was that it was going to be a stepping stone upgrade and not like the final magic cape, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they were going to make it tradable. Obviously, they wanted the content to stay good money over time so that people would repeat it. It would be like repeatable content instead of like an Inferno thing that you just do once and that's it. But yeah, it looks like they're kind of walking that back, which they're probably thinking that's what was going to happen. I feel like they were just putting it out there as tradable just to see what our thoughts would be on it. Um, and I mean, the negative prayer was kind of bad, not gonna lie, but
I agree.
they could just put it to 0, and I don't think it would have mattered much.
That
But I guess +1's fine too.
The really cool thing about this cape is they say we're adding a flat minimum hit of 2 as a passive effect. This means that any
Yeah,
successful accuracy roll would then roll between 2 and your max hit for damage. This doesn't interact with Tunic and Shadow's multiplier effects, so it's a significant boost for faster hitting weapons like the Trident or the Sanguinesti staff. Damn,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
That's something that a lot of people were concerned about is just the flat DPS upgrade for any magic bonus for Shadow is way more than with any other weapon. So just adding a flat minimum does increase DPS with any weapon. Um, so that's pretty nice. No, I do like that. I'm not sure if I don't think every item should have that kind of thing attached to it, but having one item here and there, that's kind of good for keeping the shadow uh, in its place and not just straight up buffing it with every single magic gear thing that you bring into the game.
Yep, yep. No, this is nice. And again, just for those curious, this is only for successful hits, so you can still splash. But when you do
Hmm.
roll a hit, it'll skip the one.
Yeah.
In fact, it'll
Yes.
skip both of the ones because there's normally 2 1 rolls ever since they changed it. So the max hits don't. Ooh, that's actually this is a curious point, actually. You know how when
Hmm.
they changed it so successful hits can no longer roll zeros?
Yeah.
And they just added a 1 instead. So there was a double roll of 1 and then up to your max hit. Are they
Yeah.
just completely bypassing both of those ones and now it's just 2 and then it continues up 3, 4? Or is it like 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5? Like, if you know what I mean. Like,
I don't think it would double the 2. I think it would just make the
it just
minimum hit
starts at 2
2.
and then go up.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then probably,
that's
yeah,
gonna be a
so
significant DPS
yeah,
upgrade. Like, that's nice.
be a better chance for every other hit, I guess, too. So
Yeah, yep.
yeah.
That's a huge cape.
Uh, the one bad thing about it, I think, is that it's really nice to see big numbers. So not having like a max hit increase kind of stinks, but it definitely for balancing wise, this is good for
Yeah.
sure.
So there was just a couple more, which is the Diabolical Aegis, which is just
Hmm.
another crush Demon Bane weapon. Just they're lowering the attack requirement down to 70, and they just think that in time this will have a better place. Because a lot of people are like, "Why are you coming out with another Demon Bane weapon?" And then the Thrall upgrade, they are just not continuing with that. They're going to say they're going to continue
Yeah.
with the Karen storyline.
Yeah, good. It was really confusing the thrall thing. Um, Another consumable was good, but having to keep it in your ammo slot was weird, and you already had to bring the Book of the Dead with thrall, so having to bring like another item with it would have been annoying.
Yeah.
And yeah, if they're gonna like just upgrade the book, maybe they can do the same effects with charges that you just put into the book in the next storyline or whatever. Um, Adding like just straight DPS to thralls is a little touchy as well. That like spikes your DPS by a ton. Just having this thrall that hits like between one and or between 0 and 3 already is a big DPS upgrade. So like increasing that even by like 1 damage could be like a big DPS increase. So they gotta be careful with thralls, especially since it's easy to use. But this mechanic where it like goes into a straight line back to you and damages what's ever in between, I feel like is good because you have to actually think about that to gain extra DPS. But I don't know about a flat DPS increase.
Mm.
Not sure if they should even consider that, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think this is the right content for that to come from. And yeah, I'm glad they scrapped that. But this Demon Bang weapon, um, I really have no problem with it. Like
Yeah,
it's,
me neither.
I feel like they have their reasoning that we don't really know yet, because it's supposed to be good at this encounter specifically. And maybe it'd be a niche thing. Maybe if it comes early in the encounter, like people could get it kind of early on in their accounts. Maybe before an Ember Light or something, but we're not too sure on that either yet.
The
Um,
coolest thing
yeah.
about it, in my opinion, is that passive effect, which I'll pull up on YouTube's end, is the the passive effect is that it hits twice and it resets the player's attack delay if they land a killing blow to a demon type enemy. So if you're running
Mm.
around killing demons, oh, that was one thing I was confused on one of my streams. I didn't know it was just demons. I thought it was going to be any sort of monster, but this is still a really cool thing where if you're attacking any demons, I'm just imagining just some Slayer tasks. I've been doing some lesser demon tasks out in the wildy. If I brought this out there, double hitting stuff, as soon as one is finished, immediately I can one tick the next monster. That is so
Yeah,
fucking cool.
it's a good feeling
And
to
it's,
be able to just skip that delay.
yeah, that is, and because it's a two hit splat thing, they die like when they're supposed to die,
Mm.
which means there's never going to be like that 2 tick weird delay. So very cool. Huge fan.
Yeah, 2 tick or 2 hit splat weapons are pretty cool in
They
that
are.
way.
I love them.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for this is one of the weapons that now has been on my mind is having some sort of like this sounds crazy, but like imagine a new sort of like bamboo blowpipe that has very, very low DPS, but it's a 1 tick. It's a 1 tick attacking like little blowpipe that shoots out darts, and maybe its max hit's only like,
Mm.
5 or something. But
Yeah. Have you
spraying.
seen the Ace Ventura movie when he's like
uh,
in there's like natives with like these little bamboo pipes and they
oh
just
yeah,
blast them with darts?
that's probably what I'm thinking.
It reminds me
I'm
of it.
unfamiliar, but that's probably it.
I don't know if you could stick those darts into the pipe that quickly though.
You just got to preload them,
It won't
You
take.
load them in beforehand, of course. Just like a
I
blowpipe.
guess so. Take a lot of breath to do that
Yeah.
too.
Just shooting
Yeah,
those out
but
every 1 tick would be
yeah,
awesome.
it'd be a cool thing. I think more like 2 tick weapons should be in the game. I'm
Yes.
kind of hoping they do like a magic 2 tick weapon for like the next mega rare or something from a raid.
Yes, please.
Be cool. Yeah. 'Cause the bullpipe's fun to use in
It
a lot of
is.
situations.
It
And playing leagues with like a 2 tick T-bow and stuff too, it's also very nice. It's very rhythmic as well. Like being able to count ticks is a lot easier with a 2 tick weapon.
and it's so much there's actually more skill expression in not losing ticks. Every time you lose 1 tick, it's
True.
a massive DPS loss, which means it actually warrants being a mega rare because it actually takes more skill to use in a lot of situations to really maximize every bit of DPS.
Yeah, our current mega rares kind of incentivize a bit lazier gameplay.
Hmm.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I've wanted a 2 tick melee weapon as well, where something that wouldn't be imbalanced. So one of the imbalances is just because of how much melee strength you can gather up just from your gear and everything else. I mean, it's
Yeah.
absurd nowadays. What they'd have to do is make it so it's splitting the damage between like a 4 tick attacking thing, and then they're dividing it so it's every 2 ticks, but it's a split, so you're not getting some crazy fucking DPS with a 2 tick attacking weapon. Because that was always
Maybe
the fear with the ham joint and the swift blade is
yeah.
yeah, having something faster. Anyway, what are you gonna say?
Well, that's why like Hamjoy and Swiftblade don't have any melee strength of their own, but maybe like a 2 tick melee and it halved whatever your strength bonus was. Maybe that
Yeah, I
could
mean that
work.
that's basically the system. Is it would be going off of what a 4 tick attack would be, and then somehow having that. So it's exactly kind of what you're talking about, is having that strength.
Mm.
So it's not imbalanced. But yeah, whatever way they go about it. But that's generally the idea of somehow making it so your strength bonus is not being multiplied by double. That would be way too extreme and way too hard to balance long term.
Yeah. Balance is very difficult in this game. It's kind of funny.
It is, because everything is just wonky, especially like mage. Like mage stuff has always been super super wonky. And
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've
they used to only have like mage accuracy boosting items, and then nothing was like nothing you needed like mage accuracy for too
hmm
back in the day as well. But nobody knew that. So, but once we started knowing the stats of everything, um, like Rex and everything, I remember trying DKs, but like when I was really young and bringing like full mage switch because I didn't know. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Now people at DKs bring their mystics, or not DKs, Barrows bringing mystics and stuff. It's just
there's
not necessary.
yeah. It's still people today don't know that too, but
Yeah,
it's
it's so
still
counterintuitive. It's
yeah.
none of this stuff. You got to play this game for years to start finally figuring out things. Like, what is this?
Hmm. Or at
Yeah.
least like most monsters, especially of that like caliber, where it's kind of a boss, should have like some sort of magic level to counteract that. But yeah, it's just the way the game is. Things like that are kind of nice to see every now and then with like the old mechanics. So I don't necessarily think that they should change that, but they should be thinking about that with every new thing that they add to the game.
Okay, let's talk about the smithing rework. This is a point that you kind of address in our DMs of maybe you want to talk about a potential smithing rework in this game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think smithing's probably the skill that needs a rework the most. I was kind of upset that they didn't talk about smithing at all the last time they were doing a skilling rework, and hopefully that changes for the next time. But I think it's kind of even difficult for like a new player to like let's say they open up their smithing log and they see 99 smithing for a rune plate body, they're gonna think it's like the best item in the entire game. Or they're gonna see dragon plate body is less smithing requirement than a rune plate body, and they're gonna think it's better or something like that. But just kind of like balancing things in a way where it makes sense a bit more. For one thing, I don't know exactly what they should do, but I feel like something needs to change in that aspect. One other thing with smithing is that like gold ore just destroys everything else XP wise, and like they can't change XP rates much because of gold ore being that crazy. But I feel like they could buff at least smelting for every other like bar sort of thing. There's like a method you've probably done it on your Iron Man where you're making like rune bars at the same time that you make gold.
hmm
It's just a bit quicker that way, and you can have like the coal bag in your inventory while you're making gold bars. But yeah, just like having runite bars be less XP per hour smelting than gold is already weird. But the fact that it's so much worse is is actually kind of funny. So I feel like they could straight up just double smelting. Another thing for new players as well is new players, their first interaction with smithing is always going to be smelting pretty much, and they might look at that as holy hell, this is going to take forever. But like an experienced player would know to like buy bronze bars from Shanty Pass to skip like all those early levels, or to do the quest, obviously the Knight Sword to get straight to like 29. Is that what it brings it to?
Yeah, yeah.
But But yeah, for like a new player, they're the ones punished the most for um, doing smithing correctly, kind of. So I feel like they could double every smelting besides gold, obviously with the gloves anyway, and then maybe reorder the level requirements for making armor. I don't think like runes should be brought down to a crazy amount, but maybe like a rune plate body at like 90 would be a bit more reasonable, where they have room to add stuff in between if they could balance it that way. That's just kind of my general thoughts on how they could do smithing. I like Giant's Foundry and that sort of thing. That's kind of nice too, but just smithing the normal way kind of needs a bit more love.
Yeah, Giants Foundry has, I mean, it definitely has a place in the game, but the balancing is completely out of whack. I mean, it just completely dominates any Iron Man meta. You're trolling if you're doing anything else besides that or
Mhm.
gold, basically, which is completely fucked. The fact that like anvil smithing is just like you're trolling your Iron Man account if you just do basic anvil smithing is really sad. And
Yeah.
so that's a whole nother discussion I won't jump into because I have my own gripes with Giants Foundry. But I'm with you on smelting, getting an overall just huge overhaul, just doubling XP rates. I don't even think that would be imbalanced at all. There's also just an issue with, I mean, when you're talking about an early level account, somebody that's never played this game and they're going around the world and they have their bronze pickaxe and they're mining copper and fucking tin.
Hmm.
First of all, like that, like a bronze pickaxe, I'm pretty sure is an 8 tick or maybe even 9 tick. I think it's 8 or 9 tick. I think it's 8 actually. It's like an 8 tick cycle where every 8 ticks it rolls the ore. That is so fucking painfully slow.
Yeah.
And
Mining's its own thing too, for sure.
yeah, and so like the conjunction of this, I mean, if yeah, I mean, there's just so much imbalance where it's just like, yeah, like I understand things should be really slow at level one, but holy hell, this is bad. Like this is just
Mhm.
you are just wanting the player to log off permanently if you're looking at this. And again, it's easy as an experienced player to just realize, oh well, just don't do that. But the average player is not like that. Also, beyond smithing, I'll just briefly touch on this, is just crafting as well. Crafting XP across the board is so pathetically low. Like if you wanted to, spin wool, or if you wanted to do anything on the loom, or you wanted to make pottery on anything, like all of this shit is just pathetically low XP, and all of that across the board could be buffed. So there's actually viable methods of doing sort of traditional like crafting methods. It's the same
Yeah.
thing with I would even suggest offering some cooking XP just to shove grain in that lumberge mill, just like something to make it feel like you're not completely wasting ever like all your time
Mhm.
doing these like kind of charming activities in a sense. But yeah, this is a separate discussion. But on the topic of smithing, I agree that smelting should be buffed. I agree that there should maybe be some rearrangements in how the leveling system goes up. I'm glad you weren't just fully on the radical end of like making it so rune plate body's gonna be smithed at level 40 or something, because that would
Yeah, I
just
don't think that would be
it
right.
just
There's so many like items that would be crammed into that tiny spot too that
yeah.
you could make.
You do knight sword and you're like, all right, time to start smithing addy plates. There's already
Yeah.
there yeah, so I'm kind of okay with the system we have right now. I know it's a bit fucking weird, but
Mm.
yeah, it's complicated like you said. But you know what I really want? I want silver smithing gauntlets. Can we please get those? Can we please get something that's just makes
Mm.
just getting your silver bars a little bit less, like it feels like a complete waste of time to smelt silver. It's so bad. The
It
XP
does,
is
yeah.
abysmal.
Yeah. I mean, before this new like amulet, whatever with the chemistry, I I never thought that that was like worth your time to make potions. You might as well just like grab more herbs than like sit there like just making silver and silver jewelry. It's so like low level and like low XP. yeah, it was a waste. And then like I sold all my silver to like shops and stuff because it was like, why do I even have so many of this if it's so useless? Uh, So yeah, changing that, and one of the ways that I like really realized how broken smithing was making a chunk account and like theorizing, doing a smithing grind from like that standpoint, where I would have to do these methods that are like consistently normal methods that like a new player should be doing, but just absolutely terrible. And smithing on a one chunk is probably the worst skill, I'd say, like thousands of hours typically for a lot of people with their smithing grinds. So I think that's where it really stands out that just like the fundamentals of smithing are just completely broken.
Yeah, it's kind of a broken skill. It's tough
Well,
to kind of figure
yeah,
out exactly how to fix these things, but yeah, it's an interesting discussion. I'd really be curious to see somebody like go to town on it and make it make sense, like just make it make sense. But again, there would be so many systems that would have to change. That's honestly across the board. There could be some really very balanced systems, very balanced mechanics across the board, but doing those overhauls would completely change the game, and so many people are against any significant changes because it's not going to be it's you're not going to keep the nostalgia. It's going to be completely different. Meta's drastically changed. Nobody wants that. And yeah, these things, I mean, this game is built like step by step by step. Little things are added, and whenever you get like a negative update, something, well, subjectively negative, something that's going to cause imbalances in the future, that's another step in a bad direction. And the only way to fix it is to take little baby steps the other way. I don't know. This game is just continually getting more and more complex. It's hard to like revert and rewind.
yeah. And I played this game for a long time, so a lot of things I really don't want them to change just because of the nostalgia. But I think if you love the game enough, you got to think in the aspect of wanting it to grow. And like a lot of new players' mentalities, I've been trying to just think about that because a lot of new players just quit so easily because a lot of things early game are they just don't work for new players. I think this run energy change that they've done recently is going to be really good for new players. I'm glad that they've done that. I'm enjoying it so far as well. Hopefully you are, but I think that they really changed it a lot more than I thought they were. I want to see if you felt that as well.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. Now, to be fair, I'm not a level 1 account starting off, so I wasn't able to get that taste of how it is at a very, very early stage.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm just about to hit level 88 agility on squat cam, and it's pretty fucking huge. I was doing Fremenic trials where you're just running around Relica repeatedly, just talking to a bunch of NPCs, and it was surprising how much I could run, even with an entire inventory of stuff. I mean, well, to be fair, I was wearing Graceful, so I probably was zero weight, but oh man, it's so good. The one thing I am concerned of is just what staminas are going to do, what Ring of Endurance, what that price will do, whether there's going to be, I don't know, just changes in how staminas work. Maybe there's going to be a boost above 100. People have kind of been, there's been rumors about maybe potential buffs with that, but across the board, it feels way better to just be running rather than walking.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think endurance still has its place. One thing is like blast furnace. You still really need stamina there. It's really great for there. Like long Olm sessions, I guess you'd still need it. But yeah, it doesn't really. It's kind of seemed like a weird item in the first place. I remember a lot of years back, people wanted like super stamina potions or whatever. Like imagine if we put that in the game and how it would be like crazy affected now. But I think staminas were a bit overpriced anyway recently, weren't they like near 10K each? And I think that they fell because of this update, but that seems like a lot for a stamina pot. And I guess like it still has its place. Like if you're making a new account and you have like a bunch of money on your main, you could just buy a ton of stamina pots, skip all that other stuff. Um, but like for accounts that can't get stamina pots, it's definitely a lot
Hmm.
easier. Like early Iron Men or players with not a ton of money. So, or if they want a stamina pot, it's less money now. I think that's good for them. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily think
just
that staminas really need anything, to be honest.
I think free to play, they're all at level 1 agility. If you're a permanent free to play account, I wonder how that it felt for them. I'd love to talk to one of the free to play people and see what they have to
I think
say.
Verf had good things to say about it. He's got his free to play UIM that's been doing rune crafting, and I think it's like slightly boosted like XP rates just by like how much less you have to walk. So I think it's good overall for free to play, from what I've heard. Um, but yeah, I mean, there might be like things that they do in the future for agility or running that I think are possible. Like running is nice, but what if you could like do the bolt thing that they do in R3 where you just like jump like 10 tiles in one direction in
Of a
like one
surge.
tick. Surge or yeah, surge, what it's called. Like maybe they'll add that one time. Or maybe now is a good time for them to repropose like resting. Like if you need to get up, go to the bathroom, you can just rest in place and you'll recharge run energy twice as fast. Something like that. That I think they have in RS3 as well. Or they have like resting stations too. They might have both, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of things that they could do. Maybe that surge like decreases your run energy like by a lot at once. So maybe you want stamina so you can just keep surging every now and then. Obviously, you'd probably need a cooldown, or else you'd just be like flying 10 tiles every tick. That'd be pretty OP. But
Not
yeah,
I mean,
that's
not
yeah,
even OP, but also just jarring. Like Jesus Christ, everyone's flying around. Their pets are just disappearing and shit. Um,
yeah, I could imagine.
Surge is definitely a sensitive topic. I like having the discussion. I've never played RS3, so I don't really know the consequences of it. But I do like a system where even if it was a pretty significant cooldown, I mean, just imagine the run orb in general. This is just a complete what am I trying to say? This just imagine this is a completely like fictional scenario. I'm not advocating for this
Mhm.
system by any means, but imagine a world where there is no more run energy, but you do have a run orb, and that orb, according to your agility level, increases, and now you do have this sort of surge system where you click it, and it's almost like a special attack where you click it and you zoom, 4 tiles instead of 2 tiles the next tick. Normally running is 2 tiles ahead. This would be 4.
Mhm.
So in PVM encounters, you're running up to maiden, entering Tob, and you can use this to just to your benefit attack, 1 tick earlier. And just situations like that where you just want to boost ahead just briefly. And I'm being very conservative with this, just boosting even just 2 extra tiles
Yeah.
ahead. But I don't think that would be a bad thing to add. Like, I would love to hear the negative consequences of something like that, but it would just add a little bit more depth to things. I watched Scotty running speedrun Infernos many mornings, and
Mhm.
I see him occasionally, miss one of the mobs, or one of the mobs in the on the other side of the room. Imagine there was just a way to click, zoom or surge or whatever it's called, and just get there 1 tick quicker, or even if it was 2 ticks or something, just something where there is an element of skill expression that can be expressed throughout the game in
Yeah.
different varieties. I don't know. I think it's just something to consider. Again, I'm not advocating for it necessarily. It might
No, me
be not
neither.
old school.
But yeah, I mean, who knows, like 10 years down the line, what people are gonna want
Yeah.
or what they could do to like improve agility. That would definitely improve the usefulness of agility in the game. Maybe you can't use it in some places, like if you're unable to use it in chambers, that'd probably be a good thing because the way that RNG is currently is makes chambers as amazing as it is, to be honest, with the running around for the Olm head. But yeah, who knows what people want in 10 years, and um, definitely I would be up for it if people were wanting it. But yeah, watching Scotty's crazy entertaining too, for sure. I saw
Oh,
he just didn't he just get a world record
he beat his
Inferno?
other two world records. He was already the world record holder like multiple
Yeah,
times.
it's crazy. And energy is very important in the Inferno too. He's control walking like in between every
Yeah.
wave and stuff. And so yeah, I could see that being used in places like that to save a few ticks here and there. Um, so I mean, I'm definitely not advocating for it now, but yeah, in the future it could be a cool thing. And just things like that in general. Um, People need to keep an open mind about and not just um, voting no to everything just because they want the game to stay exactly how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Everything
do
comes at a
like,
cost, but we got to,
yeah.
remain rational as to what would make the game, more fun long term and balanced. Because
Mhm.
I'm one of those players that I'm mildly conservative. Like I want the game to be recognizable. I don't want the complete identity to be demolished, but I still like my biggest um I don't know. Like I feel like what I focus most on in this game is balancing. I want activities to feel like they're worthwhile doing. There's so many completely dead pieces of content in this game. And for years and years and years, I mean that's mainly what I've drilled down on is I want things to feel balanced. I just don't want majority of the game to feel completely dead and just worthless to do. So,
Yeah, they've done a pretty good job so far, like keeping PVM like useful, and there's a pretty good progression. But yeah, skilling doesn't really follow that same line. Like you said with crafting and stuff too. Recently, they've been like making the meta a bit easier. Like they added the sand bucket thing in the desert for your like sand stuff and things like that. Instead of like boosting these really crappy methods right now, like I guess string jewelry or making bowstrings was some of the things that you mentioned. As an extreme one chunk too, you see people use those methods a lot because there's no other like thing that they're able to do, and you just see how bad it is too, like walking from a flax field to
yeah,
a thing to string.
just buff it. Like there literally is no harm in
I know
going
if
in
it's
and
not a meta
truly balancing
anyway.
it. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Okay, I want to kind of just switch topics briefly and talk about your
mhm.
real life. I feel like I've popped into
Sure.
your stream and you're a pretty fit dude, looks like, even with how much you game. And that's one of the things, a lot of gamers would love to get more of that balance in their life of, even if they want to degen the game or something. How do you maintain a somewhat healthy balance with IRL health? I want to just go into detail of kind of like how you keep fit even with all the gaming.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely gained too much. That's for sure. Uh, I was really into bodybuilding at one point, and I think I got myself at a really good base. I also feel like I'm very efficient whenever I do work out because I know what to do, and that's kind of just something I've used to my benefit now that I'm gaming a lot more and going to the gym less. But um, I think it's very good to keep your body moving. Um, Even when like I'm doing long gaming sessions, I'm getting up a lot. Um, People think I have like a small bladder, but I feel like most of the time I go to the bathroom just because I need to get up as something to do, especially like streaming. You're just sitting in one place and you're talking and you're focused. Like my eyes never hurt when I'm just gaming regularly, but when I'm streaming, I feel like I'm way more focused. My eyes start to hurt, but yeah, just getting up and moving around, changing position that you're in. I do some stretching every day. I do like a mini workout when I get up, mini workout before bed, or I do like a full workout if I feel like it. I live in a pretty rural community, so my gym is actually like a 45-minute drive, so I don't like to go very often. But when I do, I feel like I get a lot out of my workout, and I eat pretty well in general. Like I said, rural community, so not much like fast food near here. I can't get any delivery drivers to get to my house because it's so out of the way.
It's a good thing.
Uh, yeah, so I do have like a butcher box, which like sends me meat every month, so I don't have to go to the store for that, which is good. Makes that easy. So, and it's pretty high quality stuff as well. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just like it. But and then yeah, I don't. I stay away from like processed foods a lot. I'm mostly eating like real food. If anything, I cook twice a day.
You say you go to the gym here and there to lift weights. Is it mostly everything else calisthenics based, or do you just lift? Do you have like equipment at home that you're using?
I have a little curl bar, and most of my stream viewers know that because
Hmm.
I have some forfeits to do like some exercises every now and then, which is that's good too because it keeps me active during stream and stuff. Um, but yeah, curls and squats I can do with it. I don't really have a pull-up bar, but that's definitely something I try to do when I get in the gym is do like a lot of back exercises, but
And what are
because keeping your back healthy is
yeah,
incredibly important
push-ups
unless
are
you want to
push-ups are great for that.
be in pain for your entire life. And I see that with like my dad's that way. A lot of my friends who are the same age as me um, can't do anything for like more than 10 minutes of like exercise because their back will start to kill. So definitely
Yeah.
very important.
A lot of that is stretching as well. I mean, obviously it's just strength and movement in general, but I feel like it's something that wasn't very well taught to many of us as kids of just the true
Mhm.
importance of stretching and how beneficial it is. It's not just to warm you up, but it's like truly to like stretch out these muscles that need to be stretched regularly. So for those that aren't stretching, I'd highly recommend going on YouTube and just looking up like daily stretch routine because just doing that daily, it's nothing difficult, but it keeps your back feeling better. It keeps your just body feeling a little bit like there's more blood flow going.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what about hydration? Are you a water only person, or do you like your fizzy drinks? What are you drinking?
Like water, orange juice, coffee is all I drink. I've got water on me for the whole stream. Everybody knows that, and I'm drinking it constantly.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, I'm a water person, but yeah, I mean, I like fruit a lot, so like fruit drinks, mostly orange juice, and yeah, coffee. I try to not have too much coffee, but yeah, I like how coffee tastes too, so that's a little bit hard to cut down on it, but I usually try to stick to just like one a day just to keep me awake. I used to drink energy drinks a lot. Then one of my friends had problems with heart palpitations and had a really bad incident where he's hospitalized from drinking too many.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
I cut those out completely.
Was he
Um,
otherwise healthy as well? And so that was like the scare, or was he also like just
he was pretty healthy on average, other than
damn?
that. Yeah.
That
So
is scary.
yeah, that kind of showed me about that, and I don't really like sugar in general anyway, because
That's fucking
it.
lucky. You're lucky to not enjoy sugar. I'm a sweet tooth person.
No, no, I actually, I
Oh,
mean, I don't like sugar, but I mean, if you put it in front of me,
devour
I
it.
will dig into it. Yeah. So
Okay,
as long as
okay.
it's not in front of me, I'm good.
I see. I
And
see.
I don't like how it feels after too. Like I get super jittery and I crash hard from sugar specifically. So
Yeah.
yeah, I stay away from it. But yeah, I'm not very good at saying no when offered delicious food.
Nice.
But in general, like I shop really healthy and eat really healthy. So I think it makes up for it. You can indulge every once in a while.
Of course. Okay, let's take a detour back to OSRS and talk about sailing coming out, and
Yeah,
I would imagine probably 2026 at some point. Maybe I don't know. Genuinely don't know how long this would take to come out,
me
but
neither.
what are your thoughts?
Um, I'm okay with it taking a long time. I hope that they get it right and everything is really good on release, and I'm not in any rush. But I always loved sailing, even when I was a little kid. I always thought it should be a skill. And then when like people were hinting at it back in the day, um, loved it. And then when it became a meme, it was just like a funny thing. But yeah, I honestly think that even though it was like a meme and like people like things haven't been like looking super well put together in what they've shown us so far. I just really have high hopes for it. I think it has the potential to be really good. And I think since people are so critical about it, they're going to take their time. They're going to get it right. Um, I don't think I really need a new skill personally, but I'm glad if it's going to be any new skill, it's going to be sailing. I'm really excited to explore the game again. I think it's a great way to do so. I feel like it's not like a grindy skill either. It's going to be more of like a fun kind of skill like Slayer, where you're like doing different things and different scenery all the time, kind of deal. I've got a little bit of knowledge about what you think about it, but
Yeah, yeah, you've probably heard me going off.
yeah.
I
In general,
remain,
like
yeah,
I'm positive
that's
in
good.
general. Yeah.
That's good. I lost a little bit of hope several months back when they were first kind of introducing or just showing off what they had come to with movement. That was concerning,
Hmm.
but it looks like since then they've very much simplified it with I mean, it's just
Hmm.
such a hard thing to solve movement with a massive object. It just doesn't make sense. It's unintuitive. But I
Yeah.
think if that's all mastered, I think everything else will feel good. I'm hoping. Again, we're going to get some alphas and some beta testing and stuff like that to go in and iron out all these kinks. But yeah, I want to remain optimistic, but I also want to be very honest with myself and my audience of like how I feel about it. I'm not going to be just a permanent, optimist, but I'm not going to be a perma doomer as well. There's some people that will just vote no regardless of anything they see just because they don't want anything new, which again, I can actually appreciate that stance. If that's the stance you want, where you're one of those people that just doesn't want any update for any reason, that is your reasoning for it. And that's, you can hold that opinion.
Hmm.
Because I think, yeah, sometimes it's actually nice to have that kind of pushback against the super, super, super progressives that want this
Definitely.
game to just turn
They'd be
into
coming out
Toontown.
with like a new skill every year if there wasn't like people pushing back. So it's good to have people to push back.
Exactly.
Um, Getting like too many skills would be worse for new players. Like even looking at 23 skills, there's a lot of skills to train, like anybody new coming into the game. Imagine like 40 skills on this list, like they'd be overwhelmed like instantly. So I
Hmm.
don't think that we should have too many skills. I think 24 would be a great place to stop, but I don't think we're gonna stop. But if it takes 5 years for a skill to get out, I'm happy. Like
Yeah.
it'd be fine. But I think the team made a little bit of a mistake with the way that they're showing it to people. The way that they start with the mechanics and the movements, and they're giving us these clanky, um, you know, test things to look at, and it's not looking good. I think that with the way that they promote sailing, they should have started off with the exploration, the things that people want to see the most, the things that people like about sailing the most is what they really should have pushed early on. They should have shown us where we're gonna go, more like islands to explore, more of like the different boat models that we could have and really get people's like interests up on sailing, especially since there was like a lot of negatives or a lot of people thinking negatively about this. If they're gonna like change these people's minds, they need to show them, what the skill could be right out of the gate and not like this clanky trying to figure out the movement and skill of like expression and stuff. Like that's kind of like the more detailed kind of things. I think they need to start out at like a broad kind of focus on getting people excited for it before they showed that. I think that was a mistake on their end.
I think it's
Um,
just a hard thing to do though, because it's not like they're a normal gaming company that has all these things in work and they can just have all these
mhm.
NDAs going on so nobody even knows that they're working on it undercover. Like they're so transparent and
Yeah,
they don't have models to show. Like they couldn't even design something that's completely fake and show us their complete over like just vision of this is what it's going to be, and now we're just working on building that up. It's like no, they're truly building all of this stuff from scratch, and they're like, yeah, this is
yeah,
a fucking process. And yeah, but I'm with you to the point of like just PR wise, like they should have obviously made, especially like the demos themselves look so pathetic because you're dealing with the typical RS engine. Like at least use GPU, at least use something that looks good. But again, they're
yeah.
running this on the actual like servers where they're designing the game and they don't have that capability. Kind of, it's just I don't know exactly what's causing it, but like, dude, looking at that pathetic black box sky and then this
Yeah.
boat that looks fucking pathetic and it's just everything. It's just like, dude, this is making me depressed.
Yeah, they're like working on HD and stuff. They could show us like a little bit of that with it, maybe. And they're like planning on changing the water. They could do that first and like then show us the models in the water, like how they're supposed to be. Like that would be really cool. Um, but yeah, I feel like they need to change a lot of people's minds and get them excited for this, and they're just really not doing that with what they've shown so far. And I think as someone who is like this from the beginning, like I feel like the reason I like it isn't because of how the ship moves or you know, how you gain XP. It's the core like love for sailing is just what you're gonna be doing with the skill, what how the skill's gonna interact with like what you like about the game currently and other skills and PVM and exploration, different islands and things. I think that's what they should have focused on PR wise. But yeah, exactly. Like they're super transparent with us, so of course they're gonna show us like every like little details. But yeah, I feel like they're kind of inching their way to the point where they might have thought that people were gonna like shut it down, and maybe the skill was gonna be scrapped, so they didn't want to put too much effort into it. But I think at this point it's coming in. They need to like really show us something good soon, or else like it's gonna be like another 3 or 4 years before it comes out at this point.
Yeah.
The way like people's thought process on it is going. But yeah, I think I don't think it's coming out this year. I don't know. I couldn't
Oh,
see
there's no
that.
way. There's no way.
And that's what I thought last year. I was like, oh, surely 2025 it'll come out. But now I don't really see it. But um,
Yeah, well, we'll
yeah,
see. I mean, it could even be 2027. That would not be off the table. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it if it all like, I don't know, just if the dev team's happy with it. I've already said this in other casts, but I feel like there's just going to be this guaranteed resentment, even if they nail the skill in every possible way, conceivable way they could possibly do it.
hmm
It's there's just going to be resentment of people feeling obligated to train it to get their max capes back and things like that. But I don't know. I think long term, you'll see in the next 5 years after the release, it's gonna hopefully intertwine with the other skills nicely and just feel like it's always been in the game. That would be the optimal route, just to feel like it's part of the game that we've always enjoyed.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm hoping for too.
So I want to sort of tie things all together now and go back to what you're doing in the content creation sphere. So you have a
hmm
YouTube, it's popping off. You're getting that CoX Chunk account going. You're on. It looks like
Yeah.
I just pulled up your YouTube. It looks on episode 17. Still in the
hmm
first chunk, but a
Hopefully, I'll
lot.
believe by like 2021 episode. We'll see.
Holy shit. What are your plans? I mean, so it's just continue this series on. Are you excited to finally get out of it and start just zooming past more chunks? Have you ever considered making a different series, or are you pretty focused in on this? And do you have any other content creation ideas that you're striving for?
Yeah, it's I don't think I'll be playing this account forever, but I really love this account, and I hope that the viewers continue to like it even after it's have a starring chunk. I'm sure that they will, but it'll be like almost a different account, I feel, when I leave, and that'll be like a really nice moment. It'll almost feel like a different account to me, I feel. But yeah, I mean, I've tried a lot of different kind of concepts. I make other videos. I've made like a few guides and a few things too. Clue openings. I do love clues. I can't really do them on this account, so I gotta take that out on my other account. But yeah, I think I could definitely see myself doing like some mini series, maybe a second series alongside the CoX Chunk one once I get out of the first chunk. We'll see about that. But yeah, I'll play this account as long as people are still interested in it for sure. And I'm gonna keep getting better at video making as well. I've had a lot of other creators give me a lot of feedback and help along the way, and I think quality wise, I've gone up a lot in 2024, and I plan to do that again in 2025. Um, and yeah, I want to put up more videos this year too. So even if they're not Cox Chunk videos, video here and there. And like I said, I'm usually playing two accounts at once, so usually kind of working on them on the side. So it's not like I'm XP wasting. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, you need to work on this account more." I'm like, I'm trying. I swear to God, guys, and doing it as fast as I can. This is just it's not very fast, and it's not very AFK either. I don't know if you've ever um, cut normal trees over and over and over again, but it's not AFK. I'm sorry,
Nice.
guys. But yeah, I mean, hopefully I have some AFK grinds on the chunk count in the future, and I'll be able to do like active series. I'm interested in getting a Zuck helm. I've never had a Zuck helm on any account. I want to do something like that. I might want to do like some PKing. Um, I'm not sure if people are like interested in like my specific audience is that interested in it, but I don't really see anything out there of like people learning to PK from scratch, so I think that'd be a cool concept. And I do have a second channel as well. I've been putting out podcasts. It's called Chunk Chat, and I talk with like other chunk creators right now. Maybe that'll turn into something else in the future. I don't know, but I'm enjoying that right now. Um, and I do some rambles too. You do a ton of rambles, and I wouldn't be able to keep up with as many as you do, but I think I want to do like once a month this year for sure. I like talking to my audience, um, which is weird because I'm kind of like a reserved person in real life. Like I don't talk nearly as much uh, in real life as I do content creation. So it's kind of funny in that aspect. But yeah, I'll be doing that. Maybe some other things on the second channel too this year. I did like a trivia challenge with my friends. That was fun. Um, but yeah, I love the game and I really love the interaction with the community through content creation, and I want to keep doing it and do more of it.
Nice. I love that you're getting guests on your little podcast and doing rambles. I'm
Mhm.
always a huge fan of people just talking old school. That's my preferred form of content. I'm not a person that just loves watching, some super high production value one-off OSRS video, but mainly just people's thoughts on the game. I love that stuff. So wish you the
Mhm.
best of luck with that. And you also live stream pretty often. Are you full-time live streaming, or when can we
Yeah.
expect live streams on Twitch?
Yep. Full-time live streaming. I streamed 291 days last year, and I want to beat
Damn.
that this year too.
Very
At
cool.
least like 300, 320 maybe, at least.
Nice. I
Um, so yeah, I want to keep doing that. do it more. And yeah, I don't have any other jobs. So this is my full-time thing right now. So I'm really trying to make it work and put my passion into the game.
Very nice. Well, Agile Tom, this was great. And for those listening, I'm going to have all your links included in the description so people can go follow you and check out your content. And I would highly recommend dropping in on his Twitch stream. I pop in here and there, mostly lurk, but he's killing it. You've been really putting in the hours, and so I respect it. And I wish you the best of luck this year and the years to come.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. I will have another episode out later this week with another gamer, non-content creator this time around. So look forward to that. And if you guys want to support the cast, down in the description, I'll have a YouTube membership link and a Patreon link. Get your name on the title screen and directly support the cast. And many, many more episodes to come this month and next. So I'll catch you guys around. Peace.